Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Q&A edition of Optimal Relationships Daily, episode 1238. I am your host, Greg Audino, and today's featured question is all about how to efficiently set rules, all right? So both at home and in the workplace, which I think is an awesome talking point that I'm particularly excited to get into. We're going to get to the bottom of setting rules the right way, and we're even going to look at how we can turn to other countries for guidance. Let's check out this question now and optimize your life. I manage a team of employees at work and a team of 3 adorable kids at home. All in all, a lot of my time is spent making rules. No one has died yet, but I still stress over making the right rules at the right time. Much of what I've been taught from superiors and older relatives is to keep rules a little on the strict side. But is this always the right thing to do? Do you know if this depends based on age groups, settings, or anything else? Would love to get your perspective on how to set the rules. All right, I am glad to know that no one has died yet. That's stupendous. Clearly you're doing something right. I could see how you're maybe tempted to loosen the rules a little bit. You seem like fun. It's a good question. It's a really good question. As I alluded to in the intro, I do think it's a microcosm of what societies have been asking themselves since the beginning of time. So I really want to start there and work with that. Now, cultural psychologists often define different countries as having tight or loose cultures. This basically pertains to how strict the rules are on a country-by-country basis. And of course, a big part of the reason they research this is to see what strengths and weaknesses come with having more or less restrictions. As you can imagine, looser-leaning cultures can be found in countries like Brazil, Australia, New Zealand. These are countries that are often run on individual liberties and a strong advocacy for freedom and self-expression. Simply put, the rules are looser, and citizens have a lot of privilege to make their own choices. The general result is a very laid-back lifestyle, a lot of celebration, and a warm and welcoming atmosphere for other people. Tighter-leaning cultures, on the other hand, have a lot of rules and a more uniform lifestyle. Places like South Korea and the Middle East, maybe Pakistan. I'd think Germany and Russia might fall into that category as well. So countries like these are known for being very regimented. And though the general aura may not be as laid back, these countries are very good at efficiency, right? And executing changes they believe are important because they have more structure. It should go without saying, however, that all of these countries vary between what specifically they're setting rules for and how those things change over time. So I'll get back to that. But the way I see this translating for you is that the rules you set should really depend on the different objectives of different facets of life. So when it comes to making the rules for your kiddos, you first need to decide which areas of their lives you feel are important for expression and experiences, and then which areas of their lives are important for getting things done. I am not parenting your children, but for example, I would think that looser rules would be appropriate when it comes to their time with friends, time when they're doing art projects, or time when the siblings are teaching things to one another. These are all scenarios in which the kids are indulging in experiences that help them build character and confidence and creativity. If your kids are doing artwork, you probably wouldn't make them only color with crayons as opposed to markers because, that would just stifle their creativity. And there's really no benefit in restricting that, with the exception of maybe a few marker spots on the walls. Big deal. Unless it pertains to their safety, putting restriction on these types of things really only prevents them from getting in touch with who they are and building morale and building good emotional health. However, when it comes to things like homework, cleaning up, or bedtime, stricter rules make a bit more sense, right? Because it's more crucial that those things get done for their health and well-being rather than forgotten about. They're not necessarily indulgent experiences, but they're necessary for the long term. A strict rule around bedtime is good so they can get the rest they need and be prepared for the next day. Concentrated homework or cleanup time without distractions is good so they learn to be responsible for contributing to others. See what I'm saying? Unless you make rules unique to certain situations based on the outcome you desire, a generally loose set of rules over everything leads to a lot of day-to-day happiness until you realize that necessary things aren't necessarily getting done. And naturally, a generally tight set of rules leads to a daily lack of enthusiasm, but the accomplishing of important goals. There needs to be both, and how that both exists depends on the value you place on that which you make rules for. As for how your rules evolve over time, which they should, let's look at good old America as an example. America is objectively a very loose culture. The various types of freedoms here are almost unrivaled compared to the rest of the world, which is why many countries, especially war-torn countries, don't bat an eyelash at the things we find ourselves outraged over. The reason we are so free, however, is the same reason that we always find ourselves in outrage. The freer things are, the more different interpretations of threat are easy to perceive, and the more of a demand there is for reform or neutralization. Neutralization is a good thing, and threats give us the motivation to make it so. Loose cultures need to neutralize into more rules sometimes so important things can get done, and tight cultures need to neutralize into less rules sometimes so people have more satisfaction in their lives. So for you, if you remain keen on accurately, emphasis on accurately, perceiving threats, you alter your rules accordingly. If you're very loose with your kids on their diet because you think eating should be fun, that's fine. But the looser you are, the higher of a chance they have of eating junk food and missing out on proper nutrients and having less energy throughout the day. So all of a sudden, it becomes so loose that a threat is perceived, and it's up to you to restrict that rule a bit more so your kids can ultimately benefit. If you're setting different rules according to the different outcomes you want for your kids or your team at work, that's awesome. If you are regularly paying attention to whether or not your rules are yielding the results you want, that's also awesome. So decide what you want for the people in your life that you manage, and make the rules unique to each situation, and be willing to budge on them one way or another when necessary. With the busy holiday season behind us, it's important to reprioritize yourself. Especially with the days being cold and short, focusing on your health and finding a routine that works is so important. And helping you to do that is our new sponsor, Care of. Care of is a subscription service that ships high-quality, personalized vitamins, supplements, and powders conveniently to your door every month. Just take a short, in-depth quiz about your health goals and lifestyle, and get personally tailored recommendations based on your answers. You can stick with what Care of recommends, or you can change up your pack at any time by retaking the quiz as your health needs change. And I found the quiz did a really good job of asking about a whole range of health goals, be it muscle building, focus, energy, hair, circulation, and way more. So it's very customizable, and for me, it was just cool to learn about and be sent different vitamins that I didn't know could help me in such a wide variety of ways. And I recommend you do the same, everyone. For 50% off your first Care of order, go to takecareof.com and enter code ORD50. For 50% off your first Care of order, go to takecareof.com and enter code ORD50. Asker, thank you so much for sending this question in. I do apologize if it felt a little bit like school, but I wouldn't have been so teachery if I didn't think it was directly applicable for you. But if it wasn't and you still have questions, that's cool too. You can email me back, and for those who have questions of their own that they would like to submit, our email is advice@oldpodcast.com, advice@oldpodcast.com. Email us your questions there, and we will get them answered for you on the show to the best of our ability. Thanks for being here today, everyone. I had fun. I hope you did too. I'll look forward to talking to you next time, which will be in tomorrow's Sunday show, on which I'll be sharing a post from Dr. Susan Chanderban on how to refresh your marriage. I'll see you there, where your optimal life awaits.